Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about Naruto. What if Naruto was betrayed part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please do support for more awesome content and also hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends. I have created a playlist where you can find out all the previous parts of this video, link in the description, and check out the other video as well. So let's start the video. Through my eyes, Naruto's Pav. Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves, one of the strongest villages of the 5 shinobi villages. It has been my home for 12 long years. To others, 12 years may not be a long time, however, only a few people have shouldered the burden that I had to shoulder throughout my life. I, Uzumaki Naruto, was chosen to carry the Kyuubi that attacked the village 12 years prior. I often wonder why I was chosen out of so many kids. Was there no other child that the Yondaime could have placed this curse on? Why me? This is probably the only question that I want answered. It seems that we tend not to get what we want. A couple of months back, the only question that I wanted an answer to was, why was I hated by the adults so much? After Mizuki had informed me that I was the jailer of the strongest of the yokai, it all became clear. The stares, the remarks, were all because of what they thought I was. It seems that the kids in my age group followed their parents' lead by treating me like I was nothing. The pranks, the loud and brash attitude that I displayed was a cry for attention. All I ever wanted was for people to acknowledge my existence. I think that's why old man Tsunade never punished me for my many transgressions. He was the only one who knew why I committed those pranks. Being alone is hell, a hell that I do not wish upon anyone. I used to sit on the swing and watch the other kids with their parents, and it would pain me. I wish that I could experience what they had at least once in my life. Well, I guess you could say that Iruka-sensei is like the father I never had. He gives advice, and he treats me like I'm somebody. He was even willing to sacrifice his life to save mine. That's the sort of thing a loving father would do. The closest thing that I had to a mother is a 50-year-old who doesn't look a day over 30. Tsunade Aba-chan cares for me deeply. When we first met, I wanted to punch her lights out for disrespecting the old man's sacrifice by saying the position of Hokage was shit. We fought, but she was clearly better. She seemed as though she could care less about what happened to anyone. However, Jiraiya told me when we got to the village how she had protected me from Orochimaru. He told me that she had taken a sword to the heart. He also informed me that she told Orochimaru that I was going to be Hokage someday. She believed in me enough to protect me from harm. That is something that a mother would do. I'm glad that there are at least 2 people that care for me. I thought that Team 7 would become the family that I always wanted. That, however, was not meant to be. Kakashi-sensei, who wasn't really a sensei, well, not to me at least, never showed any interest in me. When I won against Kiba in the tournament, he didn't even congratulate me on my victory. I guess that was reserved for his favorite student. I asked him to train me, but he made up an excuse about how bad my chakra control was. That was the whole reason I asked him to help me, but whatever. I guess training Sasuke was a higher priority. Sakura is no different. It is always Sasuke this and Sasuke that. Even when I saved her from Gaara, she had assumed it was Sasuke. He told her that it was me, but did I get a thank you? Nope, I got nothing. The event that showed that I would never have her was when I dragged Tsunade to heal Sasuke. I saw her at his bedside. To me it looked like she hadn't left since he was placed there. When Aba-chan healed him and he woke up, she hugged him. As if he was the most precious thing ever. It pained me to see that Sasuke had beaten me again. This time he did it without even trying. I never understood Sasuke. Here is a guy who is loved by all throughout the village, yet he chooses to be lonely. He was born with the most feared bloodline limit, he is extremely gifted and has every girl in the village after him. He also had Kakashi train him personally. He had everything, and he threw it all away for vengeance. He even shoved a Chidori into my chest. I always saw him as a friend, a rival, a brother. Now all I see is a guy who took the easy way out to obtain power. I promised Sakura that I would bring him back, but I failed to do so. I really did try for her sake. During those 4 days that I spent recovering in the hospital, I had expected Sakura to visit, but she never did. I will never forget the day that I was released. I would be forever changed by it. Flashback, the villagers' states were even colder than before. I even heard some comments that suggested that I was responsible for Sasuke's betrayal of Konoha. I ignored it and continued home. I was glad to see Sakura about a block ahead of me. She was with that crazy blonde girl Ino. I ran up to them to greet them. As I called out her name, she didn't even acknowledge me. When I stopped her, she had a look in her eyes that indicated that she was mad at me. I just smiled. "Hey, Sakura-chan." She responded, "What do you want, Naruto?" I looked down because of the guilt of not fulfilling my promise. "Sakura-chan, I'm sorry that I couldn't bring Sasuke back." Her response was something that I had not expected. "Sorry? Sorry that you couldn't keep your promise?" "No, Naruto, I'm sorry for believing that a dead last like you would bring back Sasuke-kun." "Sakura-chan, I really tried but..." "Tried? Yeah, right, you didn't try. Why would you try to save Sasuke? You knew I liked him, and I bet you thought that if he was out of the picture then I would say yes to a date." "Sakura-chan, that's not true. I really tried to bring him back." "Enough, Naruto. Get this through your head, I have never liked you, and never will." Ino spoke in a defensive tone. "Sakura, I understand that you have feelings for Sasuke, but that's going too far. Not even Naruto deserves that." Sakura glared at Ino. "Ino, this has nothing to do with you, so mind your own business." Ino glared at the pink-haired Kunoichi. Naruto spoke once more. "Sakura-chan, no matter what I did or said, Sasuke didn't want to come back. But don't worry, I will bring him back for you. Save your promises for someone else. The only thing that I want you to do for me is to never speak to me again. I wish that it was you who left and not Sasuke." Sakura ran off. Naruto stood there feeling as though someone had told him his dog died. He felt pain in his heart. The girl he would have done anything for to protect had broken his heart. Ino looked at Sakura, who was running off into the distance, then back at Naruto. She even felt sorry for what had happened. He looked really hurt by Sakura's words, she thought. Ino spoke, "You know, Naruto, I think she's just upset." "No. She doesn't deserve any excuses, Ino. I thought she was my friend, I guess I was wrong. I have to go home. I guess I'll see you later, bye." End of flashback. I thought that it couldn't get any worse than that, but I would be proven wrong once again. A week later I was called before the council. The council had declared that it was my fault for the injuries that my comrades had sustained. I was also blamed for not returning Sasuke back to the village. I tried to plead my case, but it fell on deaf ears. The worst I thought was going to happen was a 6-month suspension of my ninja license, but they did something that I'd never expect. I was banished from Konoha. My dream of being Hokage died that day. Jiraiya tried to plead that I had helped fend off Gaara during the Sound Sand invasion, but it fell on deaf ears once again. Aba-chan didn't have the power to go against the council and was unable to save me from this fate. The day that I was scheduled to leave, I went to Aba-chan's office. Since I wasn't going to be the Hokage, I felt that there was no reason to keep the necklace. I gave it back to her and left. I had also asked her to give Iruka back the headband he had given me. Jiraiya had offered to train me for the next 3 years, but I told him that he didn't need to. He insisted, but I declined and told him not to worry and that I would be okay. He respected my decision, but he decided to give me some scrolls with some techniques. He told me that he was leaving the village and wasn't stepping foot into it again. Iro-sennin told me where to find him whenever I wanted to learn some S-class jutsus. I left 2 days after that meeting. I could see the villagers look at me with smirks on their faces. It was fine, I was giving them what they had wanted for so long. My departure. Konoha was no longer my home. It was time for me to find a new home. I made a vow that I would become the greatest ninja ever. It's been 6 years since I was banished. During that time I met and trained with ninjas from other villages, as well as samurais. When I left, I headed to Wave Country to see Tsunade and his family. I only stayed 3 months before I went to Water Country. I ran into a missing nin by the name of Saichi Kaido. He was one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. I followed him around for the next 2 years, learning all that I could from him. During this time we did missions together and became like brothers. After 2 years passed, I had decided it was time to part ways. I was still on a quest for strength, so I needed to continue on my path. My departure from Kaido-sensei led me to Sea Country, where I met a samurai clan known as the Manashu clan. I had thought I had already learned all I needed about Kenjutsu, but I was wrong. The samurai took me in and trained me under the heavenly sword. Since I knew how to wield a sword, it only took me a year to master the style. By the time I had finished mastering the style, I considered myself one of the top 10 ninjas in the world. I know that sounds cocky, but I believed it to be true. The next year was spent with Jiraiya, perfecting my taijutsu and ninjutsu, and taking on missions after a year of training with the Manashu. I also learned some genjutsu from the scrolls. And from Jiraiya, as well. My skills had improved greatly during that time. No longer was I the dead last or the idiot. I am known throughout the ninja world as the Golden Fox. I guess I got that name due to my yellow hair and whisker marks. During this time, Konoha had defeated the Sound Village, killing Orochimaru in the process. The Akatsuki was dealt with a couple of months later. I like to say I had a big part in that. After all, I did kill 3 members. I softened them up for Konoha and Suna. Sasuke finally got his revenge and killed his brother. I heard that the village accepted him back after his betrayal. My sources have informed me that all he got was a year of probation. He is now currently a Jounin and an Anbu squad captain. 2 years after the fall of the Sound and Akatsuki, Cloud declared war on the Leaf for unknown reasons. The war doesn't concern me. I live in Sun Country now with my fiancée and her mother. I met Yumi when I was 17. I remember the day we met. I saved her from some thugs who tried to rob her and possibly force themselves on her. When I looked at her, I was mesmerized by her long brown hair, her green eyes, and her shapely body. After I saved her life, she insisted that I have dinner with her and her mother, so I did. Her mother, Mai, who looked like an older version of Yumi, accepted me with open arms. From that day Yumi and I were always together. Peaceful as things were, I knew it wouldn't last for long. It never does. Outside of the greenhouse made of wood, with a farm in the back, sitting in a chair on the porch, with Yumi cuddled up to me, I noticed a presence of 5 people. Judging by the way they moved, it had to be ninja. I didn't alert Yumi to their presence, I didn't want her to get scared. Within a matter of seconds, 5 shurikens flew at me and Yumi. I used the Kawarimi no Jutsu. I was behind the ninja holding a kunai at the throat, but I found that I couldn't move. It was the cage main. There was only one person I knew who could do this technique. Going back. Shikamaru, you can let me go now. I wasn't going to hurt your friend here. Also tell Shino, Niji, and Tenten that they can come out now. Soon enough, Niji, Shino, Tenten, and Shikamaru came into view. They lifted up their masks so I could see their faces. Shikamaru released cage main. I decided to speak to the ninja I was behind. You can remove your mask as well, Ino. She complied. Yumi and her mother came from the house to see if I was okay. Shikamaru said, Tsunade-sama has asked us to track you down. I told her how troublesome it would be, but she insisted, that we find you. Niji stepped forth to speak. Naruto, Tsunade-sama requested that you return back with us to Konoha. I looked at Niji and laughed. She requested that I come back? Tell her I am no longer a shinobi of the Leaf and I am not obligated to do as she says. Ino decided to speak. Naruto, she asked us to bring you back. Please come back with us. Tell me, Ino, what could she want from me? She didn't want anything the past 6 years, why now all of a sudden? Shino spoke in his usual tone, Uzumaki Naruto, Godame-sama wishes for you to assist us in this war with the Cloud. I walked past the ninjas from Konoha and headed to the doorway towards my fiancé who was looking worried. I stopped and spoke. Instead of trying to get me to fight Konoha's battles, you should be preparing for attacks from Cloud 9. Tell Aba-chan that I said good luck defeating the Cloud. Naruto, how could you turn your back on your home? It's your duty to protect the Konoha. Tenten said desperately. It's not my home, it never was. That place was hell to me. I was hated by every villager in that village. I was also banished by the council. So tell me, Tenten, would you consider a place that exiled you a home? There was complete silence. I thought so. Tell Aba-chan that the only way I will fight for Konoha is if she's willing to pay for my services. My going rate isn't cheap though. Tell her I want 70 million Ryu for my services and an additional 20 million bonus. Take that offer to her and come back to let me know her decision. That's an outrageous figure, Naruto. Ino stated. Well, I told you I don't come cheap. I'm sure the Cloud will have no problem paying the bill. Shikamaru sighed. If that's all you request, then pack your things, Naruto. We want to get back to Konoha ASAP. Ino spoke. Shikamaru, you can't be serious? That is too much money for Dot. Niji interrupted. Well, Tsunade-sama did say, no matter what it took. Do you actually think that's what she meant, Niji? Asked Tenten incredulously. Our mission states that we bring Uzumaki Naruto back with us to Konoha. After that, it is no longer our responsibility. Shino stated. Shikamaru looked at Naruto, so are you coming or what? Naruto fixed his gaze on Shikamaru, on one more condition. What is it now that you demand? Ino spat out. Naruto turned to the door, where his fiancé and his mother-in-law-to-be were standing. They come with me. When word gets out that I'm fighting on Konoha's side, the Cloud will send nins to use them as bait against me. At least in the Leaf, I know that they will be safe. Shikamaru thought to himself, what a troublesome guy. After closing his eyes, then reopening them, he said fine, as long as you're coming I could care less about who you bring with you. Naruto gave the group a large grin, then it settled. We depart in 2 hours. He walked towards Yumi. She had a sad look in her eyes. Truth be told, Yumi didn't want Naruto to be a ninja anymore for fear of losing him. Even so, she knew he was a ninja through, and she respected it. He placed his hand gently on her face, pulling it up so his eyes could meet hers. Don't worry. Nothing will happen to me, that I can promise. Come on, we have to pack our stuff so we can get out of here. With that said, they broke free from each other's embrace and headed into the house. Yumi's mother invited the other ninjas into the house. After 2 hours had passed, everyone was now ready to head out. Naruto was dressed in a black, short-sleeved shirt with black sweatpants to match. He wore bandages around his shin the way Kakashi did. He also had on black ninja sandals. His sword was placed on his back. The sword was eloquent. One couldn't see the blade, but judging by the black and gold handle and the black case with a golden fox carved on it, it was safe to say that the sword could cut through almost anything. He got the sword from Minashi Ryuho, the head of the samurai clan who had taught him personally. Yumi was wearing a brown long-sleeved shirt and beige pants. Her sandals matched the color of her shirt. Mai had on a long blue long-sleeved shirt, black pants, and black sandals much like Naruto's. Naruto put Yumi on his back, while Niji carried Yumi's mother. The other three carried the small book bags that the 3 residents of Sun Country had packed. In a matter of seconds, they took to the trees. It would take an hour to reach the docks, where a ship was waiting to escort them to Konoha, where it would take about 2 hours to arrive there. 3 hours later in Konoha. In the Hokage Tower, behind the desk of the Hokage office sat a 56-year-old blonde woman who could pass for 20, doing paperwork. With a war going on and missions to complete, she was exhausted. She was trying to find ways to end this war. She tried presenting a treaty to Raikage, but the young prick didn't want a treaty. For the last 8 months the war went on with no side gaining an upper ground. She honestly didn't know what the war was for, but she believed that the young Raikage just wanted to prove his country was stronger than the Leaf. She felt that there were better ways to go about doing this, but it was his village after all. She ran hers, and that was all that mattered. Sitting with her right arm holding up her head, Tsunade looked at the door when her assistant came in. Tsunade-sama, Shikamaru's team, has returned with Naruto. They're in the waiting room, Shizune stated. Shizune sent them to Shikamaru, and the rest of his team entered with Naruto and 2 people she didn't recognize. When she saw Naruto, she was trying to hold back her tears. She kept them from falling, and she began to speak. Naruto, I'm glad that you could make it. I thought that you were going to turn down my request, she said, with happiness in her voice. I did turn down your request. The only reason I'm here is because you're paying for my services, he responded. One of her eyebrows slightly elevated, paying for your services? So you're not doing this to help the Leaf? She questioned. Naruto gave her a smirk. Tsunade, do you really think that I would fight for this village after what they did to me? No, I'm not here to protect your village. I'm here because of the 90 million Ryu I'm being paid for my services. She felt a pain in her heart when he said her name instead of Aba-chan. She knew then that their relationship had changed. She blamed herself for that. She got mad at the fact that he was fighting only for money. She responded in an angry tone, so, you only fight for money now? Whatever happened to the kid, that for it to protect his precious people? Did you forget about that or what? He smiled at her then placed his arms around Yumi. I do fight for my precious people. That never has and never will change. However, there is no one here in Konoha that is precious to me, so there is no reason whatsoever to fight for anyone here. If you're not willing to pay for my services, then I will leave and return to my life. So what's it going to be? Tsunade sighed. Very well then. Before we can pay for your services, you must be brought before the council so they can approve of it. Niji, would you escort Naruto's guest to the hotel? Naruto, follow me. Naruto kissed his girl. I'll see you as soon as I'm done, okay? Yumi nodded her head in agreement. Exiting the office, Mai and Yumi followed behind Niji while Naruto and Tsunade headed to the council room. Tsunade started a conversation with the man who was an inch or two shorter than Jiraiya. So, tell me Naruto, who were those two back there? My fiancé and her mother. Judging by the tone in his voice, she could clearly see that he didn't really want to talk. She still decided to get some answers about the girl and what he did during the last 6 years. She knew he was strong. Just mentioning his name in the rock, rain, mist, and grass caused panic. The man who stood walking next to her was arguably the most feared ninja in the world. She spoke once more. Naruto, how did you guys meet? Naruto, who never even looked at her. I'm touched that you want to know about my life, but I really don't feel the need to tell you. She hadn't expected Naruto to be this cold. She knew that there was a chance that he would despise her and this village for what transpired 6 years ago, but she was hoping he didn't. Deep inside, she was hoping that he would be happy to return, but she knew that it would only be in her fantasy. After a minute of walking, they finally reached the council room in the Hokage Tower. Inside the big room was a long square table that sat 14. The room was like a cave in the sense that the light only illuminated it enough for one to see everything in their surroundings. On the walls were pictures. Naruto recognized that some were the Hokages of the past. Tsunade motioned for him to sit. She walked to the other end of the room and took her seat, which faced Naruto's. There were 12 other members seated. The order was as followed. On Naruto's left, Yamanaka Inoichi was seated at the first seat, Nara Shikaku was seated at the second seat, Akamichi Chaozu at the third seat, Aburam Shibi was seated in the fourth seat, and Jinwei was seated in the fifth seat. On Naruto's right, Inyazuka Tsume was seated in the first seat, Hyuga Hiashi was seated in the second seat, Hoeda Tsuki was seated in the third seat, Kirai Koi was seated in the fourth seat, and Kataki Waga was seated in the fifth seat. At the head of the council table, Mitakato Hamura sat on Tsunade's right while Utatane Kaharu sat on her left. Tsunade was the first to say, Naruto, do you know why we had asked you to return to Konoha? Naruto folded his arms and looked away. I'm here because the shinobi of the leaf are weak and you need me to save their asses. Everyone in the room with the exception of Tsunade narrowed their eyes at Naruto. She just let out a sigh at his comment. Kaharu spoke next. Uzumaki Naruto. You will show respect while you are in the presence of the council. It's true that your assistance is needed, but you will show some respect. Naruto looked at the old woman and smiled. You talk to me as if I'm one of your shinobi. I don't have to show any of you any respect. You guys want my help, not the other way around. And besides, respect is earned, not given away so freely. Kaharu was angry. She was about to say something when Hiashi decided to make a comment. We have very competent ninjas. We thought that you would love the opportunity that we had decided to present to you. Naruto looked at Hiashi curiously. Oh. What opportunity are you talking about? To become a shinobi of the leaf again. Tsunade said proudly. Naruto looked at Tsunade. So that's the opportunity that Hyuga was talking about. Wow. I really don't know what to say, Naruto replied with a hint of sarcasm. The council members did not catch it. Suki, a middle-aged woman with white-green hair and brown eyes, looked at the Kyuubi container with a smile. You don't have to say anything. We will reinstate you as a leaf shinobi and promote you to Jounin. Seeing as you're ranked as an S-Class 9 in the bingo book, it wouldn't be a problem to do so. You get to enjoy life in Konoha like you did before you left. Naruto looked at Tsuki like he was about to cry with joy. I just want to say. Everyone in the council was smiling. They knew the boy would fight for them as long as they offered him the chance to return home. There was no way he was going to turn down this offer. On the other hand, Tsunade wasn't fooled by Naruto's act for a minute. She looked at Naruto and knew what was coming. When hell freezes over. The council gasped in shock. They soon narrowed their eyes at the blonde. You kicked me out because you said I was the reason why everyone got injured in the mission to rescue Sasuke, and it was also my fault for his defection. I'm sure we all know why you really banished me. But I'm not going to get into that. As for being a shinobi of Konoha, thanks but no thanks. Inoshi said, Naruto, be reasonable. What about your dream? Being a Konoha ninja, you would once again have the chance to become Hokage. That dream died the day I was left to rot by this village. That day was also the birth of a new dream. And what was that dream? Tsunade questioned. To become the strongest ninja in the world, since that is no longer a dream and is now a reality, I really have no more dreams to pursue. There was laughter around the table from council members. Kataki Waga, an old man with gray hair, black eyes, and a scar on his cheek made a comment, "You may be a powerful kid, but you're not the strongest ninja in the world. Tsunade and Jiraiya are still the best ninjas around. Just because you have that fox to draw power off doesn't make you the strongest." Hiashi said, "That's borrowed strength. Don't sit here and get cocky, kid." Who said anything about using the Kyuubi? Yes, it's true that I can draw his power. But I haven't drawn his power ever, since I was 12. I say I'm the strongest because I know what I'm capable of even without the fox's power. All of you, on the other hand, have no idea. Tsunade ended their squabble. Naruto doesn't really want to become a ninja of Konoha. Although it saddens me, I respect his wishes. For his services he has asked for a fee of 90 million ryu. Mitakato Hamura was outraged. "We will not be bullied by some brat. This is an outrageous demand, Tsunade." The vein on Tsunade's head started to bulge. "Not another word, Hamura. Although this is an outrageous demand, we did ask him for his help. Besides, Naruto's allegiance to Konoha and his reputation might get the Rain to force Cloud to sign a treaty of neutrality." The council knew she was right. It was no doubt that Naruto was feared throughout Rain, who was allied with Cloud in this war. They knew this was the reason Tsunade suggested that they offer Naruto to become a shinobi again. She also had feelings for the boy as well. Tsunade spoke once more. "All in favor of paying for the services of Uzumaki Naruto?" Everyone raised their hand. Tsunade smiled. "Well, Naruto, we held up our end, so it's time you hold up yours. We will discuss the payment plan at a later date. You are to report to my office at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, where you will be placed on a team with Chuninans and Jounins. Tell me who I'm working with and what the mission is. I'd rather know now." "Well, you're teaming up with 4 chains and 2 Jounins for this mission," Tsunade replied. "I asked who they were, not their ranks. For the sake of the mission, I need to know who they are and their capabilities." Tsunade leaned back in her chair and spoke, "Very well. The members of your team will be Saratobi Konohamaru, Yuden, Hyuga Hanabi, Hyuga Hinata, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke, acting as squad leader." Naruto stroked his chin. "Why are there 2 Hyugas? Honestly, I think 1 Hyuga is enough. Hinata, in my opinion, should be adequate for this mission. The other Hyuga isn't really needed." Hiashi's anger was visible to everyone in the council. They all knew how highly he thought of Hanabi, and for Naruto to say that he preferred Hinata over Hanabi was crazy. Hiashi spoke, "Hanabi is the best the Hyuga has to offer. If anything, Hinata is the one not needed on this mission. She is weak. If you're going to suggest a Hyuga, never suggest the weakest of them all." Naruto shook his head in agreement, "You're right." Hiashi smiled at the boy. Naruto returned the smile, then spoke again. "Since Neji is clearly the strongest Hyuga, why not have him replace them both?" Shikaku actually smiled at Naruto's comment. He knew Naruto was getting under the skin of Hiashi. He also was glad that he had knocked him down a peg by stating that Neji, a member of the branch house, was stronger than the heir of the main house. Tsunade wanted to laugh, but decided to continue, "Naruto, both Hyugas are capable. Neji isn't on this team because I need his presence elsewhere. This team I've selected is perfect for the mission at hand." "Okay, please inform me of their skills," Naruto replied. "Konohamaru's Taijutsu is superb. His ninjutsu is a little above average, and his genjutsu is mediocre. Yuden is the strategist of this team. You have worked with Shikamaru, Yuden is the next best thing. All of his other skills are mediocre. Yuden may be good, but I would trust a plan developed by Shikamaru with my life. Anyway, please continue." "Right. Hanabi is arguably the best Chunin in the village. Her Taijutsu skills are superb, and her ability to see through genjutsu as well. Hinata is basically the same as Hanabi, but Hanabi's Taijutsu is slightly better. Sakura is the medic of the team. She will try not to fight, but don't worry about protecting her. I've trained her so she is more than capable of handling herself. Sasuke is probably the best ninja in the village. Sasuke isn't really lacking in any skills." "Okay. I think that's good enough. Chaoza finally decided to speak. You know all of their skills, but nobody really knows yours. Tsunade looked at the big-boned man, then back to Naruto. So, Naruto, what are your skills? Naruto stroked his chin again. Well, my taijutsu, in my opinion, is second to none. My ninjutsu is excellent, and although I'm not a master at genjutsu, I am exceptional in it, and my kenjutsu is only second to one. Tsunade looked at Naruto. She wanted to question him more, but knew she wouldn't get the answers she wanted, so she decided to end the meeting. This meeting is over. Naruto, report to my office at 9 AM. I will tell you the mission overview then. Naruto got up and left the council room. Naruto exited the building and decided to head over to the hotel where his fiancée and her mother were. However, he smelled something that he hadn't smelt or eaten in a long time. Ichiraku ramen. Naruto walked in and took a seat. The old man who ran the shop was behind the counter cooking. He heard the person come in. He didn't turn around to greet the person. Welcome to Ichiraku, how may I help you? Naruto said, old man, you can start by getting your number one customer a big bowl of miso ramen. The old man turned around once he heard the guy say he was his number one customer. When he saw the blonde sitting there, he was excited with joy. Naruto. It's good to see you, this place wasn't the same without you. Well, I had no control over that. But I'm here now, and I haven't had a good bowl of ramen in 6 years. Well, don't worry. This one is on the house. I'm just glad you're back. The old man said. Naruto just smiled at the old man. He was happy to be back at the stand. This place was his safe haven while living in this village. Naruto looked all over the shop, but couldn't find what he was looking for. Hey, where is Ami-chan? Looking for me? Naruto turned to where he heard the voice. He saw Am standing by the door, which led to the storage at the back of the shop, in her apron. She really didn't change all that much in his opinion. If anything, she looked better than what he remembered. Ami-chan, it's so glad to see you. I've really missed you, and the old man. Am smiled, I missed you too, Naruto-kun. Anyway, what brings you back into town? Naruto's face became serious. Just business. I don't know how long I will be here, but I'm leaving when my job is complete. That's too bad. Father, and I really missed you. Well, Naruto, I have a lot of work to do, but please come by the shop again, so we can catch up, okay? Naruto smiled at the girl, will did. See you later, Naruto-kun, she waved, and headed back to the storage area at the back of the shop. Later, Ami-chan. While Naruto was chowing down, the old man leaned on the counter. She's right, you know. Things haven't been the same since you left. I heard what happened, if there was anything that I could have done. He cut the old man off, don't worry about it. I know you would have. Well, I have to go, thanks for the meal. Naruto got up from the chair and headed to the hotel. As he was walking, he could see the people staring at him. Not the same cold stares, those stares were out of curiosity. He figured it wouldn't be long till word got out about him. Naruto stopped and looked at the hotel. He had finally arrived. After asking the receptionist what room Yumi and Mai were in, he headed to the room. Mai was in the room next to Yumi. Naruto knocked on the door to Yumi's room. At the door stood the prettiest woman he would ever see. Hey, sweetie. She embraced him in a hug. After they broke away, they entered the room. Yumi decided to say, Naruto-kun, are you okay? I was so worried about you. I'm fine. Anyway, what did you do in the hour that I was gone? Yumi walked to the bed and sat down. Not much really. I was waiting for you to come back so that you could show me around. I mean, if that's okay with you. She knew Naruto's history, so she didn't want to force him into showing her around. Naruto, who was leaning against a wall, walked up and sat next to Yumi. Okay. I'll show you around, if that's what you want. Besides, there's one person I want you to meet. She looked at him with a questionable look. Who might this person be? Iruka-sensei. I haven't seen him in a while, and I want you to meet him. She smiled. But can we go before it gets dark? What about your mother? Maybe she wants to come with us? Naruto said. She asked that guy with the white eyes to show her to the bathhouse. But the girl with the blonde hair volunteered. Naruto knew that she was talking about Ino. He knew Ino wouldn't pass up on this opportunity to try and get Mai to tell her about himself. Naruto didn't worry about it. Mai didn't know what he did prior to meeting her and Yumi. Ino was fishing in a pond with no fish. He laughed in his head knowing that the girl would be mad when she didn't get the information she wanted. The couple exited the hotel and was walking through the busy village. Naruto grabbed Yumi's hand while they walked down the street. Naruto felt he was being watched. Judging by the stealth of the person, he knew that it was his old Jounin instructor. He stopped. Yumi got curious, then looked at Naruto. "Naruto-kun, why did we stop? Is something wrong?" Naruto looked down at the woman who was a head shorter than him. "No, nothing's wrong. We're just being followed. But don't worry, we're not in any danger." With that said, Naruto turned to face straight ahead. "Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, and Guy, you can all come out now." Asuma appeared directly in front of Naruto, Guy appeared on Yumi's left, Kurenai on Naruto's right, and Kakashi was lying in the tree pretending to read his book. "Yo, Naruto." Kakashi folded his book and appeared next to Asuma. "What do you want from Haddock?" Kakashi had expected that from Naruto. Kurenai was looking in awe at how much Naruto had grown. She thought that if he was a couple of years older and she wasn't seeing Asuma, she would consider dating him. Guy spoke in his usual manner. "Naruto, it's so good to see you again. Are you enjoying your springtime of youth? It's good to have you as a leaf ninja again." Naruto looked at Guy with a serious look. "I'm not a leaf shinobi." Asuma responded in shock. "What? I thought that they reinstated you." Naruto turned to Asuma. "They wanted to reinstate me, but I declined." "Why would you do that, Naruto?" Kurenai asked. "Do you actually think that I would want to be a shinobi of this village after what had happened 6 years ago? I'm not fighting for this village out of love or loyalty. I'm only here to fulfill my end of a deal." Kakashi said, "So, what is the deal that has brought you back here?" "I'm being paid 90 million Ryu for my services. After the job is done, I'm leaving this place," he said in disgust. Kurenai was shocked that he was being paid that much, but more shocked that the council had approved. Naruto was getting annoyed, to say the very least. "Kakashi, if you don't want anything, please leave me alone." Kakashi looked at Naruto. Then he looked at the girl who was holding onto his left arm. "Naruto, who's your friend?" "This is Yumi, my fiancé." Kurenai looked at the girl. She knew her former student was going to be crushed when she found out that Naruto was engaged. She knew how much the girl cared for Naruto and how hurt and depressed she was when he left. Kurenai remembered it had taken the girl almost a year to get out of her depression. Guy gave Naruto the nice guy pose. "Naruto, you had chosen a beautiful flower to share the springtime of youth with." Thanks Guy," Naruto replied with a clueless expression. Asuma said, "Naruto, you've made quite a name for yourself. You asked Kakashi what we wanted, well the reason we're here is..." Naruto interjected, "You're here to measure my skills. I knew that Tsunade would send somebody to test my skills. No matter, you guys won't see much. I don't intend to break a sweat." Kakashi looked at Naruto with wonder. He wondered if Naruto really came so far that he could dispatch 4 of Konoha's elites. Asuma broke his concentration. "I don't think we will be that easy to beat." Naruto replied, "Let's get this over with, okay? I promised Yumi that I would show her around." Kakashi decided to speak with us at Team 7's former training ground. With that, all 4 Jounin vanished. Naruto looked at Yumi, walked around, and had fun. "I'll find you when I'm done." "How long do you think you're going to be?" 5 to 10 minutes tops. Naruto replied. "Okay, but you better be back by that time. You know how I hate it when you're late, right?" Yumi glared dangerously at Naruto. The blonde warrior gulped. He would rather face an army of Hokages than face an upset Yumi. "Don't worry, I'll be back within that time. I promise." He kissed her cheek and was off. She looked at the town to see so many shops. She decided to walk until she saw a clothes shop. Team 7 training ground. Naruto appeared a minute after Kakashi, Kurenai, Asuma, and Guy did. Naruto was standing in the middle while being surrounded by the 4 Jounins. Kakashi lifted up his Hitai to reveal his Sharingan. Guy took a fighting stance, Kurenai did the same. Asuma pulled out his knuckle knives. Kakashi and Guy were standing in front of him, while Kurenai and Asuma stood behind him. Kurenai started it off by creating an illusion. Naruto was impressed to say the least. Everyone disappeared from view. All he saw was a barren wasteland devoid of everything. He knew his eyes were deceiving him, so he pulled a black cloth out of his pocket and covered his eyes. Kurenai took to the trees after her jutsu took effect. She was watching and wondering why he did that. She then realized he was blocking his vision. She didn't believe he could beat the illusion by doing this. She knew better than anyone that the illusion also messes with your hearing and sense of smell as well. The only people that could defeat this genjutsu were Uchihas, Hyugas, and people who were masters of genjutsu. Naruto was impressed, but he knew that this was no ordinary genjutsu. He knew that everything that he smelled and heard were distractions from his real targets. But, as good of a genjutsu this was, Naruto knew that this wouldn't work on him. He decided who would be the first one he would take out. Naruto vanished from everyone's sight. Kakashi realized where Naruto went. His eyes went wide. He looked at the tree Kurenai was in. "Kurenai, watch out." She turned her head to face the person behind her. Black and gold would be the last thing she would see. Naruto hit her in the back of her neck. He placed his sword back on his back. He then grabbed her and leapt down to the ground where they were still watching. He laid her down in the middle of the field. That genjutsu was one of the strongest I've ever faced. But no genjutsu will be effective against me. I may not be that good at performing them, but I mastered a way to counter all of them. Since the nuisance is out of the way, let us continue. Naruto took off the blindfold. Asuma was shocked that Naruto had broken Kurenai's strongest genjutsu. How the hell did you break it? No one with the exception of the Uchiha and the Hyuga could break that jutsu. Naruto looked at Asuma. Your eyes aren't the only thing to see with. There is one thing that a ninja can't mask no matter what, and that is their chakra signature. I knew where you all were at because I could sense your chakra. So now that you know how I broke it, care to continue? Kakashi formed hand seals. He then shouted Kaiten, Housenkan no Jutsu. Naruto flipped out of the way of the fireballs that were heading his way. He jumped into a tree only to find Asuma behind him. Asuma threw a kick with his left leg. Naruto's side flips out of the tree back onto the training ground. Guy appeared on his right. He threw a punch that Naruto tucked under. But before Naruto could counter, he saw two kunais heading in his direction from his left. The kunai hit him dead on. Guy jumped back after seeing Naruto was hit. It's over, Naruto. Naruto looked up at the guy and smirked, sorry guy, but I'm not the real one. The clone then poofed out of existence. Kakashi, who had thrown the kunai, had his eyes widened when he realized what Naruto had done. If anyone could see under his mask, they would have seen him smiling. All Guy saw was Asuma falling out of the tree. He was clearly out cold. Naruto landed next to Asuma. And then there were two. Before we continue, Guy, could you take off your weights? I would like to fight you to the fullest. Guy gave Naruto the nice guy pose. Since you asked and so nicely, I will do so. Guy took off the rest of his weights. Kakashi appeared next to Guy. He whispered so Naruto couldn't hear the two. Listen Guy, he's better than I expected him to be. Keep your guard up. Guy shook his head. He dashed off to face Naruto. Guy threw a kick with his right foot. Naruto blocked. Guy was moving so fast that Naruto found himself on the defensive. He knew Guy was fast, but this was incredible. Naruto blocked a punch, but he wasn't so lucky with the next punch. Naruto, my taijutsu is superior to yours. But, I will say, that you are extremely talented, however you lack the speed. Naruto smirked, then let's say I got rid of my ankle weights. I would get rid of the rest, but judging by your speed without your weights, that won't be necessary. Naruto took off the sticker scrolls that were taped on the inside of his sandals. He looked at Tai before blurring out of sight. He appeared in front of Guy with his hand planted in the man's stomach. Guy looked in shock before he fell over, clutching his stomach. Naruto then turned his attention to Kakashi. Kakashi and Naruto took to the air. Kakashi threw a punch which Naruto blocked with ease, and he flipped over Kakashi's punch, landing in front of a tree. As soon as the copy ninja landed, he threw at least 7 shuriken. Naruto dodged them all. The white-haired ninja was expecting him to, for Naruto wasn't his real target. Naruto realizes his mistake, but the wires wrapped around him, pinning him to the tree. Kakashi walked up to Naruto. You did well, but you failed to look underneath. Naruto just looked at Kakashi. No, I did. But maybe you should. Naruto turned into a log of wood. A pair of hands broke through the ground and grabbed his feet. Before he could move, he felt the blade of a sword pressed against his throat. This is over, Kakashi, you all lose. If this was a real mission, you would all be dead. Kakashi was shocked to say the least. When did you make a clone? When I saw you throwing the shuriken, I used Kawarimi, then I made a clone to grab you from underground. That was all the time I needed to get behind you. Naruto placed the sword back in its holster. Kakashi turned around to face him. You've gotten better. I heard the rumors and assumed you were good, but I didn't expect you to be this good. Well, I've been training my ass off since I left here. Anyway, as fun as it was to beat all of you guys in A, Naruto looked at his wristwatch for a 7-min span. I really have to get back to Yumi. Later. With that, Naruto disappeared. On a tree nearby, Tsunade watched the whole thing in awe. She had just witnessed Naruto dispatch 4 of Konoha's elite jounins without even breaking a sweat. She spoke out loud to no one in particular. How did he get so strong? He has trained himself beyond human limits. She looked over to her right to see a man she hadn't seen in approximately 6 years. The only word that she could utter was, Jiraiya. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. If you want the next part of this story, let me know in the comment box. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.